and welcome to another video. I know it's hard for people to understand when I say, let's move away from a lawyer and cop-based society to an engineer-based society. People think that what is going to be like Road Warrior or something. Here, let me explain this to you. Here's lawyers, 1600s. That's when lawyers were created, okay? We had engineers, but not very much. Engineering science in the 1600s was very limited, okay? So the lawyers took a page from religious people, and they're like, look, we just need to write these words on this paper, and then we'll have people with weapons and cages, okay? So if we put these words on the paper and you don't agree with them, then we're going to send the people with weapons to put you in a cage. That's a society that has been around, that we have. Okay, well, the words on the paper are not a solution, ever, okay? Engineering solutions to problems, like, for instance, saying, well, it says here, this word's on the paper, if you're not indoors, if you're sleeping on the streets, then you're a criminal and we can lock you up and da-da-da-da. That's the society we have today. That's a lawyer's solution. Is look, it says on this paper that you're a criminal because you're sleeping outside. In an engineer-based society, we provide homes, places for the people to sleep indoors. See, it's really quite simple, except the process of dumbing down the entire world has left us with a lot of people who don't even have the ability to think about solutions. They're lawyers, they're cops, they're not the smart people. The engineers are the smart people. Unfortunately, the way the society is arranged, the engineers, they just go do engineering. They never go and say, well, it's time to change society into an engineer-based society, because they're too busy doing it, and they don't even think about that. Well, I mean, some do, some don't. I mean, I'm not in all their heads. But the society that's run by people who think you have solutions with words on paper is why we have so many problems in the world today. Why we have homeless people, why we have drug addicts. All the drug laws were written by racists with racist intent. So if you ever wonder why there's so much drug addiction and people, gangs and all that, right? It's because of the lawyers, the racist lawyers that made these decisions 100 years ago, and we're dealing with this problems today. Because you can't let racist write laws with racist intent and then sit there and, why are there so many problems? Gee, I can't figure out why there's so many. Because the laws were written by racists with racist intent. You're never going to get a freaking nice society when you let racists write laws with race. I mean, it's just ignorant, okay? So an engineer-based society actually solves the problems with solutions in the real world, not just making up some BS on a piece of paper and being, oh, look, here it says on this piece of paper, you don't like that? Oh, here, this guy with this gun's going to stick you in a cage then. It'll be all better then. You know, that's the level of just ignorance. And the cops are not benign on all this, because their unions are constantly fighting, lobbying for more criminal penalties, for more crime. Let them do more. We want to put more people in jail, okay? Stop listening to the fucking cops for anything. They literally don't hire them if they score too high on the test. Like, if you have an above average IQ, they will not hire you as a cop. So why does anybody ask cops for solutions? It's dumb. It's really, okay? Lawyers, cops, they're not the smart people. They haven't led us down a road of peace and harmony and education. Quite the contrary, okay? Racism and gangs and unsafe streets. That's what we have by letting lawyers and cops run the freaking show. I mean, they think and then they're like, oh, well, we're not running it enough. We need to January 6th take over because there was a disproportionately high amount of police and military in those groups. In other words, you take a cross section of the United States and there's X number of police and there's X number of military versus civilians. In those crowds, those percentages were way skewed towards police and military. Okay? And the police and the military, here's their whole thing. Yeah, we're going to kill you or stick you in a fucking cage if you don't like our words on paper. That's their reality. That's their, engineers. Let's solve those problems. Let's put the drugs in the pharmacies. That ends the gangs. Yeah, you want to end gangs? Put the drugs in the pharmacies 20 years later. And licensing childbirth as well. Like, you can't just keep letting anybody just breed. That's like, let's just go to the start, make exceptional humans, make sure everybody's breeding is an exceptional human, making sure no sickos have kids, making sure nobody's raising children in a fantasy world, okay? Within 20 years, this world will be such a nice place for everyone, not just the billionaires, okay? So don't think that without cops and lawyers, it's anarchy, because that's quite the contrary. Because we're approaching anarchy, and we produce more lawyers and cops and military in this country than any country, and we're going towards the freaking anarchy. Okay? Because there's no solutions with the cops and the military and the lawyers. That whole, like, we got guns, and if you don't like what we have written on this piece of paper, you're going to be put in a cage or killed. That whole mentality is caveman, right? Like, evolve, people. Like, literally evolve. If you think that cages and weapons and lawyers are the future, you're just not an evolved person. You're a very low IQ person that have a nice life, low IQ person, but just don't think that you should be in charge of anything. Because if you can envision a good future for the entire human race and how that'll all work, just shut the fuck up and let the people who can do it.